Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Maureen O'Connor from Quilters Heaven in Northbrook, Illinois, and I am the Opinionated Quilter. Today's episode, number 110, is the best ever binding tip for perfectly mitered corners. And please stay tuned for the winner of the Celtic Charm quilt and the announcement of the next giveaway. Let's get now to my opinion. I saw an Instagram post that I absolutely couldn't believe. It was a woman who said she had a hack if you didn't want to spend the money on a 1/4-inch piecing foot. And she took a Lego block, took gum out of her mouth, put it on the Lego block, and then laid it on the bed of the machine for a 1/4-inch seam guide. Then she said, "I just paid for your next fabric order." I'm sorry, that's just gross. I can't say how important an accurate 1/4-inch seam foot is. You will use it every single day. It makes the difference on whether your pieces fit together properly or not. I would much rather have you relying on a 1/4-inch foot from the manufacturer of your sewing machine than relying on a Lego block attached by gum. I just was astounded by this. Please, if you're a quilter, get a good 1/4-inch foot. That's just my opinion. Now, I have a couple of things to clear up from last week's episode. And thank you, Denise K., I think it's 5262, who pointed this out. And would you please email me at quiltersheaveninc@gmail.com, your address. I want to send you a little something. Last week, I said this was the sawtooth star diagram. As you can see, as Denise pointed out to me, I inverted the flying geese. This is actually called a king's crown block. The numbers are all the same, so the numbers that I gave you last week work for the sawtooth star. My diagram was just inverted. Here's the sawtooth star. The other thing I want to clarify is I said that I don't worry about yardage when I'm doing scrap quilts because I just use up everything till it's gone. Well, one of the commenters said, use up all your scraps till they're gone. That's never going to happen. I should have said, I use up what I pulled for that project till it's gone. This is what I have pulled for the sawtooth stars. I have a large piece of background for the big stars. Remember, I found the 10-inch square packet for the little stars background. And then I pulled fat quarters of the larger cave prints for the big stars. And I pulled the Aboriginal dot fat quarters for the little stars. So I will keep sewing till all this is used up. And then if I have too many for a quilt, I might get a secondary quilt from it. But I don't want to put anything of this back in the scrap heap unless I absolutely have to. So I will not get through every single scrap I have to make this quilt. I'll still have more scraps. Hopefully I won't have any more scraps of this pile. So we need to take a quick break because I want to show you the two quilts behind me. This quilt here was made as a store sample by one of the gals who work here, and it's from the Fabric Cafe series. This is called Perfect Match. It's from 3-Yard Quilts on the Double. And after she made it, she said, I wouldn't make it that way. And I've got two reminders here. One is it's the perfect reason you make a block or two and test it out and make sure you like the way that it's made. You can always change it up. What happened here that she didn't like is these yellow pieces here that meet up to each other are two separate squares. The instructions have you make a strip set of this and a strip set of this, and then the pink one gets attached to this piece and the print one gets attached to this, and that's your block. I understand why she wanted to have that yellow piece as one piece, and it's very easy to do. This is how they have you do it, like I said. And then, these go together, so they're two separate pieces. What you can do, if you're like Carol and you want the yellow piece to be one piece, is make a strip set of the pink and the paisley print, and then sew those units to either side of a full yellow piece. Now, after I looked at it and I saw that there were units at the bottom here that weren't then attached to a pink, if I were to make this quilt, I would do it the way that the instructions were, because you'd have to count how many units you don't need to make like this and how many you need to make individually like this, because it's either at the top or the bottom. I had no problem sewing these together as long as you do seam allowances in opposite directions. They meet right up perfectly. So again, it's just a reminder that two people can look at the same exact pattern and each choose to make it in a different way. And that's okay. You need to make the quilts that you make the way you'd like to make them, not necessarily the way the author did or the way that your friend does. Just a little reminder. The other thing I want to show you before we get to my best ever binding tip is embroidery. Applique in the hoop. I have loved doing applique in the hoop for years. I did this pattern years ago, and it's from Lunchbox Quilts. It's called Halloween Fun, and it's done in the method where the embroidery program sews out an outline, like for instance, say the ghost, and then you lay your fabric on top of the outline, and then it stitches around again to hold it down, and you have to trim off all around the extra fabric around the outline. And then you put it back into the embroidery module, and it sews the satin stitch all the way around. That cutting is very laborious, and you're limited as to what designs you can do by what you can find to buy. I have recently been watching Power Tools with Thread, and if you love embroidery, if you love applique, you really need to go to this website, because what Becky shows you is how to take any drawing, any old applique pattern, anything that you can scan and turn it into an embroidery applique that's all done in the hoop, and it eliminates this cutting around, because she uses a Brother Scan and Cut to cut the pieces first. And then once the placement line is sewn in on your embroidery machine, you place your pre-cut applique piece on top. There's none of that trimming. Now, I'm working on being able to do the whole process. I have not mastered it yet, but you know what? It's always fun to learn something new. I'm really enjoying it. I'll get there. I'm just not there yet. Just wanted to point it out to you. If you have any love of it, I would go to the Power Tools with Thread website and YouTube channel. Now, you've been waiting a while for this. Let's get to the binding tip. One of my customers shared with me this tip, and I recently tried it out, and it makes a difference. When we're doing our binding, we always sew down and stop a 1/4 inch away from the end, and some of us just back tack, some of us sew a 45-degree angle off the edge. Either way, however you do it. And then we turn the 45-degree angle and go ahead and keep on sewing. I have always made sure that this fold is level with the edge of the quilt. The tip is to leave it just a teeny scotch, whatever you like word to use, up. If you can see here, I have a little bit of the blue showing up beyond the edge of the quilt. And then I continue sewing on. And I did this on the last quilt that I put the binding on. I haven't quite finished. I haven't done the hand stitching, or if I decide to do it by machine, but I think I'm going to do it by hand. But when we turn this over, here's the front. And we fold it over. That's going to be a perfectly mitered corner on the back. And I hope you can see this. It's a perfectly mitered corner on the front. I can't encourage you enough to give it a try. All 4 of my corners on this turned out perfectly. Normally I have a couple that are really good and one that's maybe not as good. All 4 came out perfect using this method. So if you're entering quilts in a show, I know that I have one customer who got dinged for her not perfectly mitered corners, and she tried this and it worked out great. So that's my tip. Let's get to the winner of the Celtic Charm quilt. The winner of the Celtic Charm piece top is Carla Harris, 4960. Please email me at quiltersheaveninc@gmail.com with your address so I can get this top out to you. Behind me is our next giveaway. This is Flutter from Fat Quarter Style. And if you would like to finish this top, please like, subscribe to my channel, and comment, putting in the comment the word Flutter. So good luck to you all. That's today's episode. Until next time, happy sewing.